And so
Yep.
really learning that there's more to sex than what most people typically know. And that's in the
Hmm.
physical realm. So we want to learn a little bit about the energy within our bodies and
Mhm.
moving energy within our body. So that's the first thing that we really step into, is learning that this body is full of energy, and we can move the energy through our body. We can nurture and cultivate that energy and use that energy for what we want to use it for.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Infinite Abilities Podcast. I am your host, Nick Yerhart, and we are here to encourage each other to find our own unique abilities. Let's go. This episode of the Infinite Abilities Podcast is brought to you by the one and only Infinite Toolbox, where just like all other toolboxes, we will get the job done, guaranteed. Whether you're an entrepreneur looking to save time, boost revenue, or automate your processes, Infinite Toolbox has got you covered. With powerful tools designed to drive leads, expand your reach, and gain your industry secrets, we help you work smarter, not harder. Are you ready to take your business to the next level? Visit us at infinitetoolbox.com. That's infinitetoolbox.com, and discover how infinite your potential really is. All right, everyone. So I'm excited for today's guest. Her name is Lisa, and I can't wait for her to share what she does and help you all out. So, Lisa, can you tell us what you do?
Yeah, thanks for having me today. I appreciate it. I'm happy to be
Of
here
course.
and doing all the things. So I'm a Tantra teacher, and I teach about the sacred art of Tantra and the whole philosophy that goes into that, along with sacred sexuality.
Mm-hmm. So, can you explain to us what exactly Tantra is?
Yeah, Tantra is it's a practice, and it's a lot of people have heard of Tantra from Sting. And Sting
Yep.
came on and did a lot of things around that whole aspect of, really amping up the sexuality pieces of Tantra, but it really is
Mm-hmm.
a spiritual practice, and it is a
Mm-hmm.
practice that tells us that everything is sacred. Everything is spiritual, and we can find the sacredness in all of it. And so we start looking at how we weave our own picture, if you will, like our life is this picture that we've created, and how we weave that all together from all the different aspects of things that we've learned over time, and through schooling and all the things, but also from being just living life. And so
Yep.
it's a philosophy, if you will, and it
Mm-hmm.
is a practice that teaches us how to be more of our true selves and letting that soul shine through.
I love that because I believe that being a true self is so important. And a lot of us, we don't even realize it, but we're not being our true, authentic selves. And like for me, I've worked on myself for the past, 3, 4 years now, and I realized how much I wasn't being my true, authentic self because of the way I was raised and the people I was around. And now it's like, okay, I can be who I want to be, not what other people want me to be. So yeah, I think that's very powerful.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, there's so many things that happen in the world and happen to
Mm.
people along the way. And this whole idea of people pleasing and doing things for others, as opposed to like, what do I really want in this
Yep.
moment? How do I really feel about XYZ? How do I really feel about sexuality? How do I really
Mm-hmm.
feel about anything? And being able to have that conversation, or a lot of times I think what happens is we have that fear of not being liked or not being accepted and part of the herd, right? Because we really are
Yep.
biologically, we're herd animals. And so
Yep.
we want to be part of, and we have that fear of not being part of. And so we'll hide behind those masks that we create to be
Yep.
the person that we think everybody wants us to be.
And another thing about the herd mentality that we all have, unfortunately for a lot of us who have disabilities like I do, I have cerebral palsy. And the sad thing is, like, when you get that label, you're almost being taken, like, out of the herd. You know what I mean? Like, that's how you feel. You feel like you're not a part of, like, the group with everybody else. And that's something that bothered me my whole life, and I've talked to a lot of people that feel the same way. And, I hope that we can get to a place where people look at, others who are different, not as, they're different than us, because on the inside, we're all the same. We're all human. So I want us to all be treated like the same, treat others like you would like to be treated. And, that's kind of my message a lot of the times is, look, we're just like you. Just because we may look different or think different, that doesn't make us less. And, like, I look at my disability as different abilities. Like, I have things that I can do that others really struggle with, So, yeah, I think it's more of a gift now than anything else. But that's not how I always looked at it. I used to be, why me? Why am I this way? And now I've accepted it, and I truly love who I am now. So, and it makes a big difference.
Oh, it makes you be able to live life in such a better way, in the
Yeah.
bliss of life, as
Mhm.
opposed to being the victim of life.
Yep.
And
I
so,
love that.
yeah, and I have a real strong sense of, life is happening for us, not
Mhm.
to us.
I
And
love
when we
that
have
too.
that thought of it's happening to us, we're still in that super
Mhm.
victim mentality, and it
Yep.
doesn't, and then we blame everything else, we blame other things, and we do those kinds of behaviors. But when
Mhm.
we really start seeing, like, every step I've taken on my journey has brought me to here. And
Mhm.
here's a pretty good place, I'm pretty
Yeah.
happy with myself and doing
Yeah.
this. And so instead of, I love what you said, like being able to fully accept yourself for who you are and love
Mhm.
yourself,
Mhm.
fully accept and love yourself for who you are right now in this moment. That's what's important.
Yeah, it is, and the whole world like opens up because now you're being yourself. You're not hiding behind a mask or anything.
Yeah.
You're just like confidence just grows when you accept yourself. So yeah, it's just been an amazing journey for me. Everything that I've gone through and the growth I've experienced. It's really awesome.
Yeah, that sounds really wonderful. And I'm so
Yeah.
happy to hear that you've gone through this and you've gotten to this part of
Mhm.
your journey where
Yeah.
you're at, and now we don't even know what's coming next, right? I
Yeah.
mean, we have some
Yeah.
ideas, but it's like we know that it continues to expand and grow and be in this really amazing space when
Mhm.
we're open to receiving it like that.
Yep. Exactly. So I like to learn more about my guests at like a personal level. So who is Lisa?
Oh, that's a great question. Who am I?
Who
You know,
are you?
yeah, who am I? Oh my gosh, I am all these things, and I'm still me, right?
Yep. Yep.
And so, like, I have a whole bunch of different hats that I've worn over the years and that have
Mhm.
all created who I am today.
Mhm.
So, being, having the labels, like I'm a mom and I'm a grandma and I'm a sister and a caregiver and this and that.
Mhm.
I'm all of those things. And, I'm a really curious person. And so I
Mhm.
like to continue to learn things all the time. I'm always reading and doing different types of learning modalities to up my game in all of these things because I love that. And
Yep.
I'm also this person who is very caring and nurturing, and I take care of, as we talked before, I take care of my brother who has Down syndrome, and
Yep.
he's lived with me for 30 years now,
Mhm.
since our mom died, and he's been with me. So, I'm all of these things,
Mhm.
and I have a lot of different aspects of me. But I think when it comes right down to it, what all boils down to is I'm a person who loves. I love
Mhm.
a lot, and I love to share the love. So I tend to do that and help people help people really find that in themselves, of how to
Yep.
love themselves and to emanate that love out into the world.
Hmm. I love that. That's amazing. So, how do you like to spend most of your time?
That's a good question too. I like to spend my time with me mostly.
Mm,
I mean, I do
mm,
share it with a lot of people and I do different things, but I love to I just was at Lake Tahoe yesterday
oh,
and spent the day up there, or I guess it was Friday. I spent the day at Tahoe and I'm at the beach at least once a week during the summer, and in the winter, I'm on the ski mountain. And
mhm,
in between those two times, I'm hiking. So I like to spend a lot of time in nature. And I like
mhm.
to really just have the quietness of nature and I say the quietness of nature, but nature's not really that quiet.
No, it's not.
Birds are making lots of noise and there's a
Oh,
lot, the trees are making sounds and they're doing all that, but
yep,
it is a different kind of quiet and
it
that I
is
really enjoy. So that's how I like to spend most of my time.
amazing. And I'm also very outdoorsy. I like to do anything outdoors. So, I'm right there with you. If if I can get to a lake, I'm down. Like, let's go. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's awesome. I don't do much hiking. I get pretty exhausted doing things like that. But yeah, I like getting outside. I like riding bike and anything with engine. I love. So four
Oh,
wheelers, side by sides, cars. Everything. So that's where I find my joy.
oh, how
So
fun. Yeah,
oh yeah,
that's fun stuff
yeah.
too. Yeah, we went for a big bike ride yesterday up in the mountains and
Mm.
picked a bunch of berries.
Ooh.
I do all this stuff too. I do all this. I pick berries and I make juice and
Mhm.
that takes us through the whole winter. So I
Mhm.
do elderberries and gooseberries and chokecherries and all these different kinds of things. So I'm kind of that nurturing person who creates this really well balanced ecosystem, I guess, for
Yep.
myself and my family. So yeah, it's good.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. So let's get back to, your work and your business and stuff. So who is your ideal client? Like, who do you try to work with?
I work with people who are really curious about what else there is in the world. So what it tends to
Mm-hmm.
be, and it's shifting right now. So there's a big shift in this. It used to be like people were hitting that midlife-ish area and they were going, there's something else. There's something more
Mm-hmm.
to life than this. But I'm seeing um, that age actually coming in a little bit earlier. So I don't like to say
Yeah.
midlife crisis anymore because it's something else. People know that there's something more to life than just what they've been experiencing in the physical realms.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're already starting to look. So they're
Mm-hmm.
starting to be in that curiosity of like, I know there's something here. And those are the people that tend to be looking for something different. And they're the ones
Mm-hmm.
that tend to want to learn more about
Yeah.
Tantra, learn more about sacred sexuality, learn more about
Mm-hmm.
spirituality, and how we can use our sexual energy to enhance our spiritual experience.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. So when you get a client, what's the first 1 to 3 things that you work on first? Because I know, like, when I get my clients, there's usually 1 to 3 things that I know that we're gonna hit on.
Yeah. Usually we're working, first of all, with opening up the mind a little bit and
Yep.
knowing that there is something different than
Mindset.
yeah, than than
Mm-hmm.
than just physical sex. Most
Mm-hmm.
people are coming to me, most people that come in are coming from a place of they want to know more about sexuality. And so we're going to find that bridge between sexuality and our sexual energy and spirituality, but we got to start
Mm-hmm.
here at the sexual point. And so
Yep.
really learning that there's more to sex um, than what most people typically know. and that's in the physical realm. So we want to learn a little bit about the energy within our bodies and moving energy within our body. So that's the first thing that we really step into, is learning that this body is full of energy, and we can move the energy through our body. We can nurture and cultivate that energy and use that energy for what we want to use it for. Instead of letting it control us, we start being in this other place of like, hey, I get to work with this, you know?
Yep, I think that's amazing. And yeah, when you talk about energy in the body, like, that is something that we can control. You know, it's like, let's say you're tired and you don't feel like doing anything. You can get energy, whether it's breathing techniques or exercising, yelling helps, jumping around. You know, it's like, once we have these tools in our tool belt, it can really help us out for the rest of our lives. So I love that you're doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so powerful. And I mean, so simple. It really is really simple once we open our minds and accept that we can do that. I think a lot of people, you brought up being tired, you know, it's like, oh, I'm so tired. And they just lay down, and maybe they turn on the TV or they get the phone out and start scrolling. And that actually makes them more tired. It doesn't really enhance energy. It actually depletes energy. So we want to, because there's so much going on that screen. Like, we don't always realize it, but there's a lot going on that screen with all the pixels and all the things happening. And so we're actually depleting ourselves rather than rejuvenating. And so, like you said, the breathing techniques are a huge way, and moving the body. Just get that body moving, and then you start feeling energy flowing through you. So those are some of the things that I like to work with people in the very beginning.
So what's the second thing that you go to?
It depends on the person. Then it gets a little bit more specific.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah, go
you've
ahead.
always got your first thing, you know, mindset, which is yours is basically mindset also. And then after that, you gotta figure out what your client needs. And that's why I like what you're doing, what I do. So we tailor to the client. You know, everybody's different. Everybody needs different things. And I think it's really awesome for, you know, when people like us are doing that for others, and we're really helping them out.
Yeah. Yeah. So that is the thing. And I mean, I can give you a generic kind of thing. Like, for men, most of the time, it is really working on this idea that orgasm isn't what you always thought orgasm was. Like, most people think that orgasm is orgasm and ejaculation at the same time, and that's not it. Orgasm is separate from ejaculation, and we can separate those two things. So men can be multi-orgasmic and have full body orgasmic experience, just like women do. And that's typically the next step that I go into with men. But again, it depends on each man, because they also have different needs or desires. And then for women, also learning more about their bodies and how their body really works. And a lot of the anatomy pieces that we don't always know about, we're not taught these things in school, right? These aren't, this isn't the typical thing. And that's why it's so different. But the sacred sexuality comes in, is like to really honor the body and to learn more about your body. We get to open up in these other places. So that's typically where it goes. And then with couples, teaching them about each other's bodies and really understanding that it's not what you think it is because you learn this in school or somewhere else. We actually need to learn more on the energetic pieces and how this body actually works, so that we can enhance the bliss that is our, you know, it's our birthright. And so we want to come into that.
Well, it's really awesome and also very interesting. You know, there's a few things in there that you talked about that I was like, it looks like I need to learn more myself. You know, so yeah, there's a lot more to things than we all think.
I know, and isn't that like so like we think we know everything about something, and we
Yeah.
know that we don't know everything about anything, and yet
Hmm.
we still think that. And so
Yeah.
that a lot of people that come to me are like they feel like they've already explored all these sexual things and they've done all
Hmm.
this stuff. And then I'm like, well, have you done this? And they're like, what are you even talking about? It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, there's some other things out there, and there's some other ways to experience sexuality than the way that you've always experienced it. And what if you did
Hmm.
something different today? What if you did
Hmm.
something different?
It's always good to do something different. And going back to what you just talked about, there's a saying that I like, and it is, you don't know what you don't know. And like the first time I heard that, I was like, what? No, oh, yeah, you don't know what you don't know. So that's why I'm like you. Like, I like to learn. I'm very curious. I want to learn more about every subject I'm interested in. So yeah, I think it's good for all of us to know the all the knowledge is out there. There's books written on everything. So pick up a book, listen to a podcast, and just learn. You'll be amazed at how much better your life can get just because you learn more.
Yeah, and I think it's so important too because, like I was talking earlier about this tapestry or this picture that we create for ourselves of our belief
Mm-hmm.
system or who we are and what we are and all of that. When we open that door and are willing to learn more things, then those threads come in and fill in more of that picture of that tapestry that we're creating. And sometimes what actually happens is this thread here doesn't really fit anymore. And so I get to pull it out and
Yep.
change how I feel and believe what I
Mm-hmm.
believe. My belief system changes all the time because I
Mm-hmm.
continuously open the door to learn more things. And sometimes, we also get to like have discernment and have judgment. People
Mm-hmm.
don't like that word too much, judgment. But the reality
Yeah.
is we all judge. We do.
Mm-hmm.
So I say, people, this is going off on a tangent a little bit, but that's okay.
You're good.
People say there's no judgment. And I'm like, that is so not true. We all judge. We have to. We have to in order to survive. But I say no judgment, as in KNOW. Know my judgment. And so that I can address it. Like, am I being
Mm-hmm.
harsh in my judgment? Am I judging somebody for, whatever their thing, how they look or what they're
Mm-hmm.
wearing? Am I being judgy that way? And I can go, oh, I can see that I'm being judgy. Now change it. And then I
Yeah.
make the choice to change how I'm feeling about that and go, that's not being very nice. Or maybe I don't like it. I mean, there's some
Mm-hmm.
things I don't like. And I'm like, that's okay. That's okay
Mm-hmm.
for me not to like it. And it doesn't
Yep.
make that person a bad person. It just
No.
means, that's something that they like, and that's okay.
Yeah, I love that you brought that up because your first thought is from your subconscious, so you can't really control that. But like you said, you can recognize it and then be like, okay, how do I really feel right now? What are my actual thoughts? Because you might look at something or somebody and have a negative thought, and you can stop and go, okay, why did I just think that? And then you can try to change it to a positive thought. So yeah, I know that's something that I've been working on myself. So I pay attention to my thoughts, and over time, they become, more positive. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think that that's that piece of knowing that's really critical and important, that we're not spiritually bypassing. We're not going,
Mm-hmm.
because I mean, there are times when I'm walking down the street, let's say,
Mm-hmm.
and I have a thought. Here comes this person, and I have a
Mm-hmm.
thought. I need to be really clear with knowing my judgment, KNOW, knowing my judgment around that, because it could be a dangerous situation. It could
Yeah.
totally not be, but I need to
Mm-hmm.
listen to those pieces too so that I'm
Yeah.
not spiritually bypassing, going, you're just being judgy, telling myself that, or, okay, let's be aware of what's happening in our surroundings so that
Yep.
we are being safe and we are taking care of the things that we need to take care of. And so it
Mhm.
gets a little fuzzy in those lines.
It does. Yep.
Yeah, but we also need to keep that place of like, I don't want to be spiritually bypassing and always saying, I always think positive thoughts, because I don't. I don't
No.
always think positive thoughts, and it's okay for me not to always think
Mhm.
positive thoughts too.
Mhm.
In Tantra, there's a specific sect of Tantra called non-dualism. And in non-dualism, we can't even really talk about it because our language is very dualistic in the way that we think and the way that our brain is centered. But when we start realizing some of these concepts, like it's not good or bad, it just is, right? It's just my thought in the moment. And if I have that thinking, like I'm sure you've had this happen to you. I'm guessing, but there was a time a long time ago when I was at the airport, and I got such a strong sense of like, do not get on that plane. Like the voice came in and was like, do not get on that plane. And I went, okay, I won't. And I didn't get on the plane. I don't know. Nothing happened. Like the plane didn't crash or anything like that. But for whatever reason, I had to listen to my intuition too. So we want to pay attention to that and get to know ourselves in that sense really well, and know that thought or that voice that comes in is my higher self telling me something from the future or whatever. Don't do it. And I'm like, okay, I won't. Or do it. Get on this podcast. Get on the thing. Do this. Whatever it is, like we get to learn how to hear that voice versus that judgy voice that like is being ridiculous. Because sometimes my judgment voice is being ridiculous. Like I'm making a judgment on somebody because they're wearing a pink shirt. Who cares about a pink shirt or whatever it is, in that moment? I'm using that as an example. I like pink actually, but I'm just saying, yeah, I love pink, but that was what came into my head. But, somebody who's wearing pants, like, how some of these guys wear their pants and they wear them really low below their butt line and stuff. And I'm like, I don't even know how you're walking. And that's okay to have that thought, but making a judgment on they're a terrible person because they wear their pants like that, that I don't want it. That's knowing my judgment and being able to change my judgment. Like I don't want to judge somebody as a bad person because of some choice they're making in their fashion statement. That's not the person that I want to be. So I get to change that. But if I have a feeling and I have a sensation of like, hey, it's a dangerous situation, I want to pay attention to that too.
Yeah, I agree. I'm the same way. I want to pay attention to what I'm thinking and why I'm thinking that way. So yeah, that's awesome. All right, so my slogan is your abilities are infinite. What does that mean to you?
Oh, I love that slogan.
Thank you.
Because I deal with people with disabilities, what they say, disabilities. But they're really just different abilities, right? I mean, that's what it comes down to. We all have different abilities. So, God, your abilities, we are infinite in our abilities, and we can do things that we don't think we can. I mean, sometimes I think that we know what I don't even know how to say this. This is funny. I mean, you got me tongue-tied a little bit.
I think I know where you're going.
Yeah, I think that sometimes so for example, if I want to be a dancer, I can totally be a dancer, right? I can take classes and I can do these things and all of this stuff. But maybe, and I can always be some sort of dancer, right? But maybe there's something that happens and I don't have the musicality that comes in. And maybe I can't hear that beat or something because my hearing doesn't pick that up. So I don't become the dancer like I thought I was going to be, but I become a dancer in a different way. And that's the ability piece, is that we may not be able to be the top-notch dancer,
Mm-hmm.
but we can be a dancer if that's
agree
what we
with that.
truly want to be.
Mhm.
We maybe, maybe we have something that doesn't allow us to be all of the things that we think we can be, but
Mhm.
I think we still have the capacity to be more of what we really truly want. And maybe I get
Mhm.
into dancing and I go, that's not really what I want. I want something
Yep.
else. And then that
Mhm.
changes the whole trajectory. And now I'm off
Mhm.
on this other path.
Yep. I love that. Thank you so much. All right. Do you have any last words of wisdom?
Yeah. So get out there and just really feel who you truly are. Listen to yourself, love yourself, and know that you are perfect, whole, and complete right here, right now. And you get to live an orgasmic, blissful life beyond your wildest dreams.
Amazing. I agree. All right. How can people reach out to you and find you?
You can find me on Facebook. I'm on Facebook all the time, Lisa A. Rizzoli, or Tantra Talk. That's my Facebook group page. Also, as a gift to your listeners, I have a meditation, a guided meditation that I offer complimentary. And you can find that on letstalktantra.com. It's called Loving Myself Awake. And it's a beautiful meditation that I offer to people.
Awesome. Thank you. I know I'm going to check that out.
Sweet. Do it.
Yeah. Awesome. This has been amazing. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Nick. It's been awesome.
If you enjoyed this show, please go ahead and share it on your Instagram story and tag me here, the Nick Yerhart. Also, go ahead and share it anywhere else that you see fit, because the only way that I can grow this is by you guys doing it. I don't sell anything on here. I don't have any sponsors, so let's just get it out there by word of mouth, help more people. Alright, everyone, remember, your abilities are infinite.